I think by far the hardest job is being a landlord. And the most
this is a good take. I like this. Yeah.
Because these guys are giving people places to live, taking
the nation's
all the
heroes.
houses. The nation's heroes. 9/11 responders wish
They were landlords.
that they were landlords.
Dude, this needs
in
to
the
be
most heroic city of New York. Salute to the landlords of New York City, the finest people in this United States.
You have that aggressive, emotional.
I think it's about the landlords what they do.
Like you're crying on the inside. You're so goddamn proud. That salute.
If you want to own a home, don't blame a landlord for buying it first. Do what the landlord did to earn that home.
Bird catches the worm.
He chose his parents properly.
Yes. Yeah. Just
You're the idiot who chose poor parents. Don't blame them.
Dumbass.
Why didn't you strike while the iron was hot in 1988?
Why don't you just get a big building and don't care if there's running water in it and then shove a bunch of people in there on government subsidies and you get your money?
You know what what I always do come back to is why don't they move to a more rural area?
Who?
And anyone who's complaining about these things, about the high prices of things, they often live in these big cities where things are really expensive. And okay, you got to live in a city to do your job. Move to Atlanta, bro. Do you know how cheap it is in Atlanta compared to any other major city you've heard of in America? Boston, New York, LA, all those places. Atlanta's cheap.
Like I have had bad experiences with big companies. Like the place I lived before this, like 5 years ago in that apartment, I must have called a dozen times over the course of almost 2 years. Like, hey, I've got like an alarming amount of black mold in my back entryway. And like I stopped using my back entryway entirely. Like you could come from the parking lot behind my place that was fenced in, like up to my apartment, or you could walk around through Death Alley and come in through the front. And so I always like would walk through the homeless alley just to get around, so I would take my chances with the homeless instead of the black mold. They just didn't care. They just couldn't care less. It's like, hey, like it's like I've done some Googling, and the internet tells me like this is alarming. Like it shouldn't be a torso amount of mold in the top of like your corner.
Torso amount,
like from my neck down to my like waist. And as wide, just a patch of black mold, and like slowly spreading. Like I think I could smell it, and they never fixed it.
Like major city.
Yeah, my rent is like, I have a big house with many rooms, and it's low rent. It's my rent is double what I paid when I was 19 in a 1-bedroom apartment. And this is a house. It's so low you don't feel bad about renting here. That you get so much value for your money. And especially if you're splitting it with somebody. So, but I hear about these people with $2,500 a month, $5,000 a month, $10,000 a month, and my God, how could you stomach that? Unless you're geared in, you're a guy like Tucker, who's really profiting from being right there in town where he can collaborate and do things. Why aren't you in Atlanta? Why aren't you in a suburb? Why aren't you in the country? If you could let go of being a cosmopolitan person in the big city, I bet you'd live a happier life in some smaller town where gasoline costs the same, but everything else is cheaper. Like the rent where I'm from, if you don't mind living in the country, it's hundreds of dollars, not thousands of dollars.
If you're like a Twitch streamer who just doesn't do anything but stream from like their room, like you could be the king of Omaha. Like you could be the guy in Oklahoma City who owns the biggest house in Oklahoma City. You could have a compound. People around you will start to talk. Like
land is so cheap.
Yeah.
The property values are
in LA.
Property's like $6,000 or $7,000 for an acre. When you get out into the country, compare that to just millions of dollars for a quarter of an acre, which is what you see in the cities. It's I don't know. I never hate the landlords, but I do. What I do hate is I don't like the blind hate against anyone who rents a property, because that's what I feel. What I see most on the internet.
A property.
Like
who rents out a property. Anyone in general who accepts rent. But I really don't like the gigantic corporations that are coming around and just buying everything up over market values, driving those values up, and then just renting everything out. They own entire neighborhoods out here. Like every one of my neighbors has the same trash can. How'd that happen? Like every one of these houses is owned by some big company. We're all just every month.
It might be my age, but I no longer have much patience for people who hate the way the world is, as opposed to the ones I admire who try to thrive in the way the world is. So like whatever, if you go into nursing and then spend your entire career complaining that nurses don't make enough money, dude, it was that way since before I was born, and I'm really old. Like nursing salaries didn't catch you by surprise. Oh, did you become a veterinarian and now you have a tremendous amount of student loan debt and your salary is not that of a doctor, of someone who's equivalently educated? You should have went into this wide open. Save the tears for your mom, because I'm not that guy. I don't care. This is what you signed up for. And again, like, does this guy own like 4 houses on the side? Yeah. He scrimped and saved during his 20s, bought some houses during his 30s, made some good moves. And now in his 40s, he's got a couple homes to rent out and he's got some passive income. Do it. It sucked for him. I guarantee you, he didn't have a nice car when he was saving for those homes. He didn't take the vacations. He didn't, he missed out on a lot of cool shit so that he could set himself up for his future. Those options still exist today. And you just discredit everyone before you who scrimped and saved and like got ahead.
It's definitely different now. Like homeownership is not as easy as it was 30 years ago. Like wages have stagnated, interest rates are crazy right now. Just the market of homes is insane. Like, and so I understand what you're saying, but I will push back a bit that like this generation of young people now, like the possibility of homeownership that was available to people who were their age now in 1987, like isn't there.
So I actually agree and appreciate that, but there have been pockets like this before. I remember in the 80s when we bought our beach house or something, the interest rates were like 14% on a mortgage or something. It was really high. And I remember my father, I think he got an 11% mortgage and was like, damn, we're doing pretty well. They're still way lower. What's the mortgage rate now? 7%, something like that?
Yeah, but the total of the house is so much higher.
Well, yeah. But what my point is there's going to be whatever 5-year pockets in history where it's not a good time to buy, and it's hard to time those and get it right, but it will get better.
I don't have your
interest rates will go back down.
I don't have your experience or maybe even your eye for this sort of thing, but it seems to me like it's not going to change anytime soon because of what I mentioned earlier. The way that when those companies come around, they don't just buy everything. They buy the houses you wanted. They leave you with these scraps where it's like nobody wants to buy those homes. Like it's hard to find a home that isn't owned by, I don't know,
Zillow or BlackRock or
one of those gigantic companies.
So much of the economy is red hot right now, and people don't think it is because they don't. Trump would have been way better at like talking about the hot spots in the economy, but the fact that unemployment is crazy low right now. And housing prices are high, and they had to raise interest rates in an effort to cool off the economy because we're kind of too heavily employed and that stuff. That won't last forever. There will be a recession at some point, and all those houses that bought those, all those companies that bought those houses will lose their shirt if they bought when it was high.
2 quarters of negative growth. That's a recession, right? That's the definition.
Did you say 2?
2 quarters.
Yeah, I thought it was 2. I don't know. Somehow I heard 3.
Germany's in a recession.
Bend over.
I'm absolutely stuck on this. I can barely name a YouTuber that didn't have like great financial success that didn't buy real estate for a little while before they back out and realize they don't like it. Have you bought your real estate yet? Have you made that financial mistake? You're going to get into commercial real estate?
Commercial? Fuck that.
I don't know.
Man.
I'm just saying something. You're renting places out. You're going to buy a gas station like Quibblecop?
Oh my God. Oh, I don't know how he did that. I don't even know the process. There's like, everyone seems to be doing it, and it's very hush hush because no one wants to be known as a landlord. It's like, that's a bad label to have. But I'm moving from here. I've been working on a house for a while. I'm renovating it currently, and it's actually moving along finally. So when I move from there, I get to make the choice of either sell this place, depending on how well I'm doing in like 5-6 months, or rent it if I'm doing good enough to just maintain having 2 houses. So I can be like scumbag landlord. It'd be great.
You'll be a great landlord.
Landlords are not inherently bad.
I will be.
I've thought a lot about this landlord thing.
Okay.
And when's the last time you had a landlord, Woody?
1998 or something like that.
So that's going to shift your thoughts on this, I think.
Willing to
I've
learn?
had issues with mine. It's this big corporation, and that's worse than a person. I'd sue a person.
I like the inverse, but I'm listening.
If there was some guy across town who was doing this shit to me and ignoring my requests, I'd sue him. We'd be in small claims court, then we'd be in civil court. I'd fuck him up. I'd make his life annoying. But it's this big corporation. So when you're like, hey, the water leak in my yard. I still have water, but just so you know, I won't be paying for any of the water that leaks out of this house, and the yard is going to be ruined. They allowed that to happen for almost 8 months. There was a crater in my yard, a koi pond essentially that looked like a bomb had fallen there and filled up with water for 8 months. It didn't smell, thank God, but it was just an eyesore. They didn't care because that much water leaking wasn't a big deal to them because they're a giant corporation, and the process of getting your claims escalated. There's no one who actually cares. It's all hourly paid employees. It's a nightmare. And then when my fucking AC went out a few years ago, again, huge nightmare. I was like, it's 80 degrees in the house, and they're like 88's an emergency. And I was like, oh, you know what?
Take it back.
I hung up on that guy and called back and told him it was 88.
So
and if they'd asked for a picture, I had the blow dryer ready.
I have 2 experiences. One, I rented this in an apartment complex. It was a big company like yours. I don't even know how many super big. And behind the washing machine, for clothes, it started to leak, like the hose went bad or something. And my apartment didn't have a ton of damage, but the apartment under mine, tremendous, right? The light fixtures were like buckets just holding water. The floors were ruined. The carpets needed to be replaced. Their personal belongings were damaged. It was just a stream of water that caused all this trouble while neither of us were home. So I returned to a slightly wet laundry area, and he returned to a ruined apartment. Cool. The people that needed to fix it weren't mad at me. They're hourly employees. They just do this every day. There was nothing personal about it. There were no problems. From my perspective, they replaced the hose. They toweled up the thing, and that was it. Like, it ended. I didn't have any problems. They didn't try to get my security deposit back or any of that nonsense. They're a giant company who didn't care. On the other hand, I rented a house from a dude. That dude lost his job. The house had a hole in the roof such that you could stick your arm to your shoulder outside that hole in the roof. You could see outside through the hole in the roof, and the water would come through this hole. It would drip down the walls, and it would soak Jackie and I's pillows like they were sponges. And we wake up in the morning with these pillows that weighed like 27 pounds.
That's insane.
And it was awful. And there was something wrong with the water, and it was well water, and there was a pump, and the pump pumped so slowly, like to fill the washer tub for clothing, 7 hours. Like, it was outrageously slow. When I showered, I'd make a cup with my hand and fill it from the shower head, then splash it on my hair.
It's the well. They've got a bad well.
This guy is giving me all of his sob story. I'm like, hey, I got these problems that need to be fixed. And he's like, I got problems too. I lost my job. He could have knocked me over with a feather when I learned I lost my job. So we weren't doing any repairs to the rental place, but I need you to float my family and continue to pay your rent on time.
His insurance should be handling this.
Yeah.
They were making some assumptions about the fact, the idea that him being insured, he just didn't have money to cover any of the repairs because he was just a dude who didn't have the cash to actually be a landlord. And it was a terrible experience for us because of it.
I can't imagine. That sounds super shitty. The real problem is you need somebody you can go get and make do what's right. And it's hard to get that done in either scenario, I suppose, at times. But I still think the real thing, but when I see people on Reddit hating landlords, it's almost like they don't like the system. They don't like the way the scales have ended up for whatever reason. They're like, can you believe it? They just sit there and take my money. I'm the one working. I support a landlord. That's what I'm doing. And it's like, no. I mean, it's real frustrating to see.
If Taylor gets a wild hair and says, you know what? I need a third job. I'm really not busy enough. And he decides to save up his cash for this big down payment and find the right place and then, fix it up before the tenants come in, and I probably do some level of repairs between every tenant. Then he's done all the stuff that the renters didn't have to do. They were able to just waltz into the house that Taylor saved up for, that Taylor makes payments for, to do it. Like, these landlords aren't evil. That's just the way it works. If you don't want to be a renter, do what Taylor did.
Yeah. I mean, like, you're right that it's just like when I see the like anti-work style people doing it, it's like, oh, this is a child who doesn't know how the world works. Like, they heard someone else say landlords are bad and now they're parroting that. Like, there's a chasm of difference between like the list of like the 20 worst landlords in New York City, where like they're like, I haven't had water in months, and then like, fuck you, like, I'll send you to jail. Like, there's a difference between that and like a property man. Like, I have a buddy who's like a property manager. He's one of those guys who was like, I'm going to buy real estate in like addition to my job. And within 1 year, he was like, oh yeah, I had to quit my job, like, and learn how to be a handyman because I spend all day doing handyman stuff at all these properties. Like, I thought it was going to be a little passive income, but it turns out it's not. If you're a billionaire, it's passive income because you have 1,000 layers of middle management between you and the labor. If you're a dude who's a property manager who has a couple properties, you're working on that shit all the time. You don't have the capital to be like, oh, there was another boiler issue. Cost is no issue. Send someone else out there and spend $1 million. Like, no, you're going to be in there trying to figure it out. Like, doing what you can.
If you have a dozen 3-bedroom homes, that's a lot of toilets. That's a lot of light bulbs. That's so many furnaces and air conditioners and doorknobs and locks and latches and ovens and microwaves. I know slightly what that's like. Dad's farm, those poultry houses, there's thousands of light bulbs. There's thousands of gears and knobs because each chicken gets one, right? So there's thousands of everything in duplicate. And the biggest part of his job has always been maintenance man, just walking around. Oh, look at that. If I don't tighten that, everything will burn down. Good thing I was here. Every day is that. Every day is catching something that was 3 days away from disaster.
Have you heard of like Love for Landlords subreddit?
No, I've never heard of it. Is it a joke?
This.
I'm actually the head mod.
It's a whole subreddit. They've got their own little terminology in there. Like, the landlords are known as land chads. They make memes about like fucking me when I increase the rent on a single mother of 4.
Yeah, I didn't know this was my position.
When you're a renter, who replaces the light bulbs?
I replace my own.
You could demand that they come fix your light bulbs, I guess, but like, I've always just changed my own.
Okay. I hope this doesn't get anyone fussed at, but when Chiz stayed in our guest house, by the way, he didn't pay rent or anything. He just worked with me and stuff. But when he moved out, to my surprise, all the light bulbs were burnt out. This was a time in our like evolution where like most people had compact fluorescent bulbs, but when they burnt out, you replace them with LEDs. Like, that's the stage we were in. And all these compact fluorescent bulbs had burnt out. And he was like, well, I was just sort of staying here. I'm not going to replace your light bulbs. And I was like, I'd never heard of that, but okay. Like, so we had like 8 bulbs to replace.
He just slowly acclimated to a darker place.
And I noticed he was always in the dark over there, but I didn't I didn't ever know.
He's got candles. He's walking around like Rip Van Winkle with one of those finger holders.
He would visit us. He would come over and he'd play Risk with like Jackie and Colin and stuff, board games. But I didn't like knock on his door and intrude in his privacy.
Torch and a big old medieval torch.
I think he just stole your fucking light bulbs, man. He could have just saving them up.
And I'm not replacing your copper piping either. Don't even start.
The wiring in the walls was gone when I got that.
I'm on Chiz's side on this because what you've done here is you've changed the topic. We were talking about landlords and tenants. If Chiz had been paying you a rate, then yeah, man, you're responsible for everything in there. You don't break anything either, because like you're. But he was a guest.
Okay.
He was a guest. If Taylor comes and stays with me for whatever reason, maybe if Taylor and I said, hey, you know what? Let's do the macho men YouTube channel. You come stay with me for a month, and we'll film working out here. I'll come stay with you for a month. We'll film there. And we made the Macho Men YouTube channel where we just do voices, and we're not all that big.
Yeah, it's a good ass channel. Take this part out, Zach.
And then he's in my guest room, and he's in my gym, and he's burning light bulbs, and I got that. I don't think that he should be going and like getting new light bulbs. So that, in my opinion, is what you and Chiz had going on,
right?
Because I believe Chiz was there to film a little project. It's all about perspective.
Yeah, I didn't look at it through that lens. I definitely see your point. Yeah, and there was never any ill will. It just struck me.
Of course not. Either way, I'm sure he was like, you know what, I acclimated to the darkness.
Where are you living now? I'm not trying to dox you.
That's all right. I said this last time I was here too. I'm on Cedar Rapids, Iowa right now. So
for the long haul.
Oh, I liked Iowa. I just was there a little bit, but yeah, Iowa's cool. I like it more than I would have guessed.
Yeah, I bought a house out here. So.
Oh yeah, and are you in? You're in the house now. You have proper internet, all that.
I do.
You're no longer in
fiber that is here.
You're no longer in a depression chamber in a local office building.
No. Escaped the office building and at home finally for streaming for sure. So
that's funny. Like even as a streamer, you had to escape the corporate life.
It did make it that extra step of miserable for sure. Like anytime like you're doing this, you're like, okay, well at least I like my job. I work from home, and you're like traveling to an office there, and you're just like, oh no,
like your
this is so miserable.
I'm gonna pop in your stream and ask the same question every day.
You could start with, where are you living now, Filthy?
Where are you? And then do it again.
Change.
And again.
It always changes. This is like the first time we've lived the same place twice in a row. It's not fair.
Well, that's good, because that was genuinely depressing that time after the show where you flipped it around and showed that thin office window where you look out into an even more soulless room. It's because I know exactly how that is, sitting in that office and looking out that window and being like, God, if there were a blade or something like
yeah, right? Like, how is this different than minimum security prison?
I had all the motion sensors too for the lights, and I would go in because I'd stream on the weekends, and no one else would be there on the weekends except me. So I would like arrive in the, because I was doing those during the winter months. I'd arrive, it'd be dark. I'd go in, all the lights would shut down after I came in, so they'd light up as I walked in, and shut down as I like got in there, and then I'd come out, and I'd come out for like water or something in the middle of the day, and there'd be no one in the office, and it's just all dark in there, and I'm just like, oh god.
Whenever I had to work long hours, like. You work and like dinner comes and goes, and then somewhere around 8 p.m. all the lights turn off around you, and you're like trying to get them to turn back on, and then like the HVAC changes, so you have to like manually find you can press a button on these little support columns to turn the HVAC back on, so your little section of the building is properly heated or cooled, and then it only lasts like 30 minutes or so. Then you have to do it again. It's this every like 30-minute reminder that you shouldn't be there. Yeah. That no one else is here. It's just you working by yourself.
It's crushing.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
Thankfully, lots of people are never going back to that.
You're reminiscing about corporate America?
About Filthy's old position where he had to sit in that office, and Woody and I were saying how much that stinks, and we get it, and like how so many people, especially like millennials and younger, are not going back to offices. Like they will quit before they do it because there is no reason. There's genuinely no reason.
I have it. So right now, the balance of power has shifted towards the employees. The economy is actually very good. Unemployment is 4.7%. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is at an all-new high. I promise you, if Trump were president right now, Republicans would be banging the gong about how fantastic things are.
I bet.
Those are the realities, that unemployment is super duper low and staff is in short supply. So that staff has recognized their advantage. I think last I looked, what the fuck is John Deere? I'm getting it wrong. The tractor people. Kyle,
yeah, John Deere.
Is it John Deere? Okay, I don't know why I can't think of it. John Deere, they went on strike. Their latest offer was to double their pay and increase their benefits.
That's great.
I thought it was the increase. They were doubling the increase offer.
Oh, maybe that. All right. Well, when you read headlines, you don't get fully informed. So,
I just read a headline too. So, but I agree because it did sound like I think I did a double take. I'm like, what? Their offer was just to double their pay? Like, what the fuck?
All right. Well, anyway, employees everywhere are recognizing their advantage and asking for more, which is smart. I applaud them. But someday, the unemployment rate won't be 4.7% anymore, and they might get people to come back to the office. That's where all that was headed.
Yeah, I've been seeing some interesting stuff where it's like you'll see companies being like, there's a worker shortage, so Chipotle won't be able to get this done for you, or there's only 2 people working. And I think it's maybe Michigan or some other state. Instead of them raising wages to get people back, they're like, now we're hiring people as young as 14. And it's like, they would rather go back to child labor than pay people something more fair.
Specifically, 14-year-olds weren't allowed to work past a certain time of day. I don't know what it is. In New Jersey, I know it's 11 because it impacted me.
It's just because the motion sensors can't spot them. They're too small.
Yeah.
So
back on. No good.
They're changing the laws to be like, all right, now kids can work until any time of day. And it's like
any number of hours. Forget the 12-hour day.
Ooh, is that going to be good for the film industry?
I didn't consider that.
So
there's going to be a bunch of new Die Hard movies coming out with a 14-year-old star.
No. But whenever you've got a kid in your movie, it's a real problem. Dealing with. That's why so many twins end up being child actors, and because you get to work them for twice as long.
Yeah, and the director gets access to 2 children now.
Yeah,
that was good.
Or producer, whatever Weinstein was.
There needs to be a word for menage a trois that involves 2 children.
Oh,
it's a fucking felony. Going to jail.
Call that an ice cream sandwich. It can be done.
Buyer's market's any sense of it. You got to.
It's not like you check some boxes on a website and you can flip houses. He's not saying that. But
in this case, they were able to buy without saving a lot of money, and then fix it up, sell it, or rent it. Airbnb is a thing now. There's a couple people in my life making actual money on Airbnb.
Oh, you know what? Here's the thing I see on Reddit a lot, and I don't get it. So maybe you could explain it to me. Maybe I'm in the dark here, and I'm the only one. Why do they hate landlords? They seem to demonize the idea of someone making money by owning property, and the idea of there even being landlords. And oh, you haven't seen this? It's very.
I know what you're talking about.
I've seen bad landlords get hated on.
No.
A lot of deservingly so.
The concept of there being landlords, people who profit from just owning a bunch of property.
That's where Reddit goes too liberal on me.
This is the socialist stuff that's going around right now, right? The idea that this is someone making money. What is it? I don't want to go into the terms. I don't know the fucking terms. I don't want to guess it wrong kind of deal. But it's away from the means of the production kind of deal. So this is someone who's just taking money from someone else for doing nothing. Is a kind of sentiment of that.
What it's actually is a guy who took on a risk by making a huge investment, oftentimes with their own 2 hands, fixing up a place and making it nicer than it was before, increasing its value, renting it out. And then these renters are like, fuck you. Why do you get to do this? Dude, you could have. This is available to all of us, especially if you haven't bought a home before.
Yeah, I mean, I see where you're coming from with the middle of the road thing. They are going too far with every landlord is bad or something. I'm not that clued into that universe.
Yeah, what I've read,
I can definitely empathize with the concerns I've seen, which is every adult in my life told me to go to college, and that would give me a job that paid me enough that I could get a comfortable house. I could start saving. I could, prepare to get a mortgage. And that's oh, well, now I'm in crippling debt. This degree every adult in my life told me to get is no longer as valuable as it was when they got it. And I'm being told, oh, well, sorry, you're up shit creek. You better go work at Domino's with your, $35,000, $40,000 in debt.
So
I had a different
when I finished my undergraduate degree.
All right, so I want to hear your feedback on this. Growing up, my father didn't say, get a degree and you'll have this future. He said, Woody, he doesn't call me Woody, 80% of degrees are bullshit. You need a job training degree. You can be a doctor. You can be an engineer. You can be a nurse. You can be an accountant. I'm like, I think I want to get a business degree. No, Business is a general bullshit degree that doesn't get you a job. Accounting is a degree. Mechanical engineering is a degree. Computer science. These are job training degrees. What about English? English is for finding a husband. That's what the English degree is for. It is not for getting a job afterwards. This is like what I learned. So when I hear other people say, man, I got this degree and now there's no jobs on the other side, I'm like, well, yeah, you got the wrong one. They didn't tell you these were the wrong ones. They told me that these were bullshit degrees and that there aren't like, it's not job training. The job training degrees are the ones.
I remember when I was
maybe other people didn't hear this.
Yeah. I formulated this by watching Seinfeld as a kid, as bizarre as that sounds. Because I just remember like the characters in that show and how like they had those nonsensical degrees and like how like whenever George wanted to go get a job, he couldn't because he had like he had like an English degree or something. Like I don't remember what George Costanza's degree is in. I wish I did off the top of my head, but it's something like that.
That was a thing in that show.
It wasn't architecture.
But like he's always struggling because like, well, what do you do? He's like, well, I worked at Vandalay Industries, and it's like he's gonna make it up the whole way through. Yeah, latex.
Philosophy is a degree that oftentimes lawyers take, and so you get a philosophy in your undergrad, but know that you're taking a giant risk. If you don't actually get accepted into law school and then pass law school and become an attorney, then you don't have. Then you basically you ruined it. You chose a degree that doesn't get you a job. That's what philosophy is. Oh, are you philosophy? Great, I'm sure.
No, I have a psychology degree, undergraduate psychology degree, which was almost useless for me when I finished my undergrad.
There are a lot of therapy degrees that are similar, and I might be off on this, but I think I'm on target. Like if you finish with an undergrad and you want to be a physical therapist or occupational therapist or something like that, you can't get a job. Some jobs require masters, and I think psychology is one.
What's interesting?
There was stuff I could do, but almost nothing was particularly well paid, and almost none of it was particularly interesting work either for me. So it was like I had to go back and get my graduate degree before anything would open up.
Some jobs need that.
One thing that's always been interesting to me, like you mentioned, the two kinds of degrees. Now you can't really pull like a Frank Abagnale Jr. and just go become a doctor or become a lawyer, because those are like job training degrees, like you said. Like even in that movie Catch Me If You Can, like he thinks it's cool to be a doctor until like that kid comes in all fucked up and he's like vomiting in the broom closet because he saw a skint knee. He's like, oh wait a minute, I can't be a doctor. This is dumb. And then he goes and pretends to be a fucking lawyer. And but like you can't do those things. What you could do is like any of those jobs that require like a business degree. It seems like, why can't you just get a fake diploma? Like what if you just like printed out a fake business? I don't know what kind of job requires.
May as well try.
Like they're getting one of those. It isn't. Is it a crime?
To print out a fake business degree? There's no way that's a crime. There's just no way.
There's whole institutes devoted to exactly that.
All right, but it's signed by the Ronald McDonald House. So
here's my thing. It seems like University of Georgia prints out like, I don't know how many of those a year, those diplomas. So why can't I, as a private individual, print myself one out?
I have
it
is
gives
not
them the right
illegal to buy or make fake diplomas. It is fraud if you try to pass them off as real.
But they won't know. It'll be so good.
All right, so let's talk about
the fine print. This is not real.
Because the way that you check to see if a diploma is real is like a bouncer checking your ID. Like you hold it up.
But
It's got
here's
like
the
a
thing.
business with a Z in it.
Here's the thing. Let's
I
say
remember
that you're
business having an S in it.
Yeah, so that was it must have been a different timeline.
all right. So let's assume you're applying for some sort of middle level management position at like some. It doesn't matter what company. Your job is going to be like managing people in an office scenario, perhaps, and you need this degree, that you are going to fake. Are they really going to like fucking like check it out, really, or like call anybody, or like scan a fucking barcode? I think they're just going to be like, oh, okay, you got your degree from blah blah blah, and you were here for this number of years, okay, and
Here's my guess. I think if you go to a big enough company, if you're working for Pepsi or Cisco or Facebook,
maybe,
then they check you. If you're working for someone small, then they don't.
Yeah, I would imagine, and it'll probably go by like whether or not you're doing your job. Like if you're faking it and you truly have made it, and you have no idea what you're doing.
That's where the genius comes in of picking a job that you can do but also that like your business degree would cover your fake business degree. Like you
So if I
wouldn't
understand
become a
correctly,
doctor or a lawyer.
You're anti-switching someone's dog out without their knowledge, but you're pro hiring someone who doesn't actually have the right degree.
Yes.
You're okay with
Yes.
switching the degree out on someone?
Yes.
Just I'm tracking
Absolutely.
on these.
Absolutely. I'm glad you're keeping up.
But
no,
you're also willing to send me that link still, right?
Yeah.
To buy the jizz.
if I'm being honest, I'm not going to send you the link. But whenever this is published on Saturday, you can just go in the description and
you can look it up yourself.
Look, he doesn't have the skill set. He's been lying about this skill set the
Yeah.
entire show.
Yeah, actually, that is true. Kyle is the worst copy paster I've ever met.
Yeah, I don't know how to do
bad.
it right.
I've been
No.
teasing about it for 10 years.
Yeah,
and at
Control
first-
C, Control V. I don't get it. It's can't
At
wrap it around
first,
my
he
head.
pushed back. Like, no, Woody, I'm good at it. I feel like now he's come to accept that he's actually slow at copying.
He was still right click.
Oh, no,
until
see,
a year and a half
like-
ago.
I got fed up with it. I got some pedals under my desk. One of them is Control C. One of them is Control V. I'm the fucking
Good.
copy paste master.
Yeah.
Like it's
one of the
completely
pedal I just
different
Really?
step
style.
on it and it injects me with something, and then I'm happy again.
All right, so Kyle,
up for Twitch.
you walk in, you're past the hiring process at this company. You're a businessman now, at least as
Vandalay
far as they
Industries.
know. Vandalay Industries. You go into their, let's say it's fucking, I don't know, pick a company you'd like to work at, and then what's the idea that you would come to the floor with where they'd go, man, this guy, he's not lying at all, definitely. Like he knows. Like, if you're working
That's
at
how they think about it too.
Chipotle, you go into the Chipotle board meeting, you need to have an idea. Day one, they're calling on you. We need to revolutionize our
What
business,
if our
Mr.
product
Myers.
didn't make someone need to
Guys,
immediately
hear
Oh.
me out. If we put
I would
enough-
ask. Here's what I would do. I would ask for some. They want to revolutionize Chipotle.
We need to take Chipotle and totally flip it on its head.
Okay,
You know
so
how
what
they
I would
have-
do is I would ask for at least
we go.
I would need a day to come up with my proposal at least, right?
Of course.
They can't expect me to just have this like ad libbed. Then I call my friend that works at corporate for Chick-fil-A and I get her to do my work for me.
Oh,
And I turn
so you're
that
like
in.
a
Because
double
she's-
cheat.
Yes, double cheat. Yeah.
You know, at Chick-fil-A, behind
don't
the
think it
glass, they have all those little buckets full of, pickles or whatever. Stop it. I said Chick-fil-A, but I meant Chipotle. Anyway, you can say, I want this, and they build your thing along the way. Is that not how Chipotle works? Am I mixing up my
No, no,
restaurant?
No, I just didn't know what the fuck you were talking about. Chick-fil-A.
Have one of them be jizz enhancer. We can just leverage lock and load the ideas we've come up with already and
Okay.
reuse them. They'll
What is a
sprinkle
burrito?
it on
You're
your
Now
fired
when you eat
just
this
because
burrito, you
Sam's,
shoot out both ends.
Now,
This is a winning
what is-
idea. Just be like, hey, jizz enhancer, and then they sprinkle it on, and you suddenly your sandwich is better than it would have been.
We need to
This is
get
more
our
of a Subway
jizz.
idea.
We need to get our jizz enhancer in storefronts. I was saying this on PKN the other day.
Starbucks. You need to go
I was-
into Starbucks.
No, but like seriously though, I was in like this adult toy store or something like that, whatever you want to call it, yesterday, an adult store. Like where they got like dildos and vibrators and lube and shit. And
My guest room.
and their whole like the whole area around the counter
Or Chislett?
was full of all sorts of like products like lock and load. Like we need to invade that retail.
That's what we
space.
need to do. We
Taylor,
need to
don't you
find
do this
whoever-
for a living?
I was about to tell you how you can do things like this. It's so we would need
Where's
to
your
find
business degree from?
whatever the biggest chain.
He made it
No,
up.
I printed it. Yeah, whatever the biggest chain is, probably like Adam and Eve or something. We need to figure out how to contact their buyer. I'm sure that they have different buyers. Like they probably have a dildo buyer and a costume buyer. Or maybe it's only one. I can't imagine it's just one. Then we need to get in contact with him or her. It's usually a woman, and we would need to find a way to make a meeting where we could use some data, probably from Derek's site, that we could make the case that hey, what's the data
Just
looking like on your
Derek'sData.com or what?
other cum pills? And they could be like, well, this is the amount we're making annually or quarterly. And okay, what kind of promotions are you doing for those? Oh, that's interesting. Okay. All right. Well, this is our margin so far, and we can do X, Y, Z. This would be like a Derek thing. I don't know what the margins look like on the back end, but yeah, that would be how you would do it. The only issue would be is that I don't know what kind of distribution those networks have. And if unless we actually start buying advertising to push sales at that retailer, it will get deleted in a few weeks. They'll go, nobody's buying this. We're not going to do this. So in order to even do it, we would need to have an active and running marketing campaign driving people to Adam and Eve. So
That
for
sounds
this
like a lot
product,
of
for
work.
it is a lot of work to get into retail, and so
But
for
Taylor-
I just want to sell something.
but I'm doing it.
But
all.
it's no work at all for me.
All right, so it sounds
it's
like
risky,
okay.
too.
Hang on. So it sounds like you've got a real good idea of what needs to be done here, and I'm glad to hear that. So,
Yeah.
just give me an update in about 6 to 8
2
hours.
days. Yeah, 6 to 8 days.
First, no.
I mean,
First,
go ahead and get on your phone. You know,
And there's a
While we're
risk to
here.
this too, because if we enter a store and we're in the storefront, that's now our like Nielsen and IRI data. And so if that totally tanks and fails, and we want to do this in the future at Walmart, they're going to pull up the past experience that this product did in retail
Question.
and go, this
Question.
did not sell. We're not taking a risk.
I won so I had this whole thing going on with my trash company. They wouldn't pick up my trash, so I kept telling on them, and they were like, "Oh, we're gonna assign someone to come in and supervise your trash man. He's got a daddy now, basically." And I was like, "Ha ha, fuck him." Well, the trash man showed up.
Tell me more.
Then the trash man shows up and like takes my bin the next week. Clearly, he was like, "Oh, you don't like how I do it? You don't get trash picked up." And I'm like, "Hey, you said you were going to get that guy back in line, right?" And they're like, "Yeah, we talked to him. He took the bin," and they're like, "Oh man," and it looks like your service has been canceled. It'll be 7 to 10 business days before we can get you a new bin. And I'm like, "Nah, that's not gonna work. Here's the other little catch. When I started renting this place, it was not an HOA, so I'm not in an HOA. I never signed the HOA. But then, like 2 months in, they're like, "Hey, turns out it's an HOA," and I'm like, "It's your problem." And they're like, "We'd love you to sign this." I'm like, "Nah, I don't think I want to do that." And they're like, "Well, okay, I guess." I'm like, "Yeah, I know. We have a lease. We have agreement. I'm not signing this." So they are responsible. They are culpable, if you will, for any infractions from the homeowners agreement. So I let them know, I'm going to make a pyramid of fucking trash in front of my nice house here that is going to be the most unseemly white trash thing you've ever seen. And the animals will get to it long before 7 to 10 business days. And I don't give a shit.
Yeah, you don't.
They
Fuck,
showed
I
up
love
in
this.
7 to 10 business hours, it turned out. So we're all sorted now. We're all sorted now. No need for the pyramid to begin.
So you think?
I mean,
Till next week.
I was so prepared to, like, I have a lot of cardboard boxes and I usually fold them up. I was going to put them in like square in the big garbage bags and just make it look bigger than it was. Like, big leaf bags full of cardboard boxes. It would look like a mini landfill.
Feels
Are you
like
living
a win,
alone?
but who knows if Debris Daddy's going to be there every week to make sure this guy collects your trash.
He's on a short leave. I've decided I'm not even going to stress. The pile begins when the dumpster fills.
Are you living alone, by the way?
Currently, yeah, but I've got a lady friend close by, and
I wouldn't I wouldn't worry about beef from your neighbors, because like I just feel like if I saw you like that hair, that jacket, and like you're like so straight posture, stoic, you got muscles under there, and you just like, I'd be like, this is some fucking
you don't mess with this
Patrick
guy.
Bateman shit.
Yeah.
Like I'm not fucking with that guy.
He can put his trash where he wants to, damn it.
I had a weird interaction with my Malamute. Escaped yesterday morning and went running into the cold morning, and so I chased out after him in my underwear.
Like
This is the mentally disabled dog, right?
You say
all
that, yes.
dogs are. All dogs are.
And so I chased Rocky down to a nearby yard. There he is, and he's just taking a big old shit right in this guy's yard, and the guy's watching him do it. The guy happened to be up early. He's loading the trunk of his car with stuff. I don't know. He's in his garage, and it's a black guy, and he's watching Rocky take this huge shit in his yard. And he goes, "Just gonna dump it right there, huh?" and I show up, and I'm like in my underwear. I'm like, "Hey, I'm so sorry about him. He's a good boy. He ran away." And he goes, and Rocky like kicks his shit up into the bush and like looks at me all embarrassed. I swear, he always does that when he poops, like kicks it back, and he goes. I go, "I'll come right back. I'll clean it up. I'll get a bag." He's like, he kicked it in the bush. I guess it's cool. He's a pretty boy.
He is a pretty boy.
It's our wrestlist. He can't escape anymore. I've gotten the fucking GPS tags, and I've ordered, and I've gotten fucking. I can't let him not be attached or behind a fence anymore because he will just fucking run off. He's ran off several times.
I live in Canada.
4:30 a.m. I'm in the neighborhood chasing this fucking dog, and it's so quiet. It's quieter than when I was at my dad's house or when I was on the lake back in Franklin County. At least there was like cows or like some Yahoo getting drunk. In this nice neighborhood, it's pin drop silence.
Footsteps and dogs.
I'm like, get back here. Get back here. It seems to, I'm shaking a bag of treats and I'm like, oh, this bag is so loud. I'm going to wake somebody up. It's that quiet. It's the most frustrating thing ever to chase a dog into somebody's fucking yard at 4:30 in the morning in your underwear and wonder if they're going to peek out, see Whitey and shoot. Like it's mostly black people here.
If you live in Canada in the wintertime, like that dog, you could like put it out and go out grocery shopping for the day in the middle of the winter, do all your things and come back, and the dog will be like lying down or playing or just existing in the snow.
He loves the cold.
Such a sick dog.
I'll leave him outside for hours in the morning. I'll check on him like every 30 minutes or something. Hey, you want to come in yet? You ready? It's fucking cold, dude. Come on. He's like, nah,
chilling.
He just loves that shit, so he stays out in the freezing cold as much as he can.
Yeah, is your dad a Hank Hill kind of guy where it's almost like something is broken and he's like excited to get working on it? Because I've always wished I could be that guy, but when something breaks around my house, I'm like, this sucks. I need to call a real man.
It depends what's broken. If it's something with a car, he really enjoys working on cars, and he's really knowledgeable as long as it's not fuel injected, because he doesn't have all the diagnostic equipment to diagnose computers and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But as long as it's fuel injection, he built and raced race cars for years, carbureted. He built and raced race cars for years, so he's really good with engines, transmissions, and the whole drivetrain stuff. And then he owned a paint and body shop for many years as well. So anything paint and body, he's really good at too. And he taught himself upholstery, so he likes doing car stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I don't
think that around the house shit. That's not tittillating him.
It's not titillating, but he's proficient in all of it except for HVAC. We always called an HVAC guy.
HVAC that's really tough.
That's like the mob. You got to go through them.
You need to call Anthony Cumia.
I'm glad you said that. Dude, one, it's hard to buy HVAC parts. If you buy a car, there are libraries dedicated to how to work on that car. Even if it's a new fuel-injected, tricky one, there's a Haynes manual out there that explains it to you and tells you how to use your multimeter to, do your best and such. HVAC, it's simple, like in theory, but there's no information on how to fix things on your own.
Yeah.
It is incredibly difficult.
Yeah, they're like the mob, and they really try to upcharge you on everything, like tons of inflation on the parts. I remember he got the HVAC, fixed once, and then he found like a list of the parts and saw how much they'd upcharged him, and he called and complained. He's like, I'm not going to pay this. I'm absolutely not. You can come pick the parts up, take them back out of my fucking like heater HVAC system, because like you're charging me 350% what this part costs and 280% what this part costs, and I was already paying you $35 an hour. Mm-hmm. Like, no, come get your shit. And they just cut the bill from like $1,200 to $300 or something.
Yeah, good for him. I feel like I've had that experience without the negotiating skill. I paid $5,700 for a new. It's called a gas pack. It does your heat and AC in one unit, and $5,700. This is a long time ago too, like back in the Apex house, and it was just so much, and it was not even like a major brand like Train or something, and they made us feel like we were lucky. I think they genuinely did prioritize us because we only had one as opposed to like one for each floor. And we had like a kid, one of the babies, one of the kids was a baby. So they kind of did us first, but they did us hard.
Yeah, those people are shitty.
Yes.
I've dealt with some of them who would quote $12,000 on a job, and then you get another guy and it'd be $1,500. And it's like,
that is who's getting $12,000?
How far in my ass was he trying to break it off? God damn.
Yeah, that's insane. So what, you guys have been homeowners much, much, much longer than I have. HVAC, full of crooks, apparently. Mm-hmm. What other little industries do I need to be wary of? pretty much anyone in the trades.
Home inspector is going to be sketchy. You need to really look at what kind of warranty comes along with or guarantee comes along with their work. Make sure they're going to be reliable.
Yeah,
and the home inspectors, you have to check the motivations, right? So a lot of home inspectors get their work from real estate agents, right? And it's to their advantage to give that house the thumbs up. If you're an agent and I'm an inspector and I start ruining deal after deal, you find a new inspector. Now, if they do a bad job, that opens them up for other liabilities. So they have to kind of thread the needle there. But if you hire the home inspector, if you say, if the real estate agent's like, I'll get you a good one. You don't know anything about inspectors. I'll take care of it for you. You say, no, thank you. I can Google. You hire your own home inspector so that his motivation is to serve you.
See, that's what I should have, because you know how obviously when you're buying a house, you get a home inspector to come out there and do everything. And I had this person recommended to me by family, and they missed obvious shit. Like there were gutters that weren't connected the right way and that were going to fuck up if someone hadn't noticed afterward and fixed it. The dishwasher straight up did not close and had stagnant water sitting in it. Missed that. And apparently under what I was looking at, appliances were covered. And so they should have, according to my home warranty company, they're like, oh yeah, if they would have caught that right away, we would have replaced it. And so I've gone on a back and forth with them trying to fix my fucking Samsung dishwasher, which apparently, according to every guy who comes out here, they're like, Samsung, huh?
Yep.
They put 5 boards in it, and it is just the most complicated dishwasher of all time. You know what you should get? You should get a Whirlpool. It has a button that says wash, and then it washes. And I was like, damn, that's what I want.
Kitty has a Samsung washer and dryer.
I've heard about them, and I'm not in the business or anything. They're like famous. Is it Neptune by chance? That's a model under Samsung.
It's like it's metallic gray, and it's all digital. And I have to I can take that son of a bitch apart like a goddamn NASCAR pit crew. I have the tools that do it all together with the right bits on them. I go over there and I'm like, and she's out of the pits and ready to wash again in 3.5 minutes.
It must be.
It has a filter. It's like the last thing to stop junk from going down into the wastewater line. And it clogs routinely on things it shouldn't clog on. Now, you wash a condom and it's going to end up down in there, and that causes a problem. I guess maybe I understand that.
Right.
Sorry, I left the condom in my stuff, kitty.
Gross.
Whoopsie daisy. I'm the one that had to clean it out. It's not gross. I'll fucking suck that bitch clean.
It's already been washed.
I'll suck that bitch.
It just went through the washers and
Just went through the washer.
It's fine.
That's the other thing. When you pull, so you have to take the door off the washer, like the big porthole clear door, that has to come off. The top of the washer comes off. The entire control panel comes off, and the entire front of the washer has to come off. All of these things have to come off so that you can get in there and you put your hand in this hole, turn a thing a quarter turn, and then pull it out, and then it's full of junk like lint and rubber bands and money. I found a $20 bill last time. I figured that was my tip for doing the job. and just junk. And it smells like actual shit because it's stagnant, gross water has been soaking denim lint for weeks and weeks and weeks, I guess. And it's just rotten in there. Yeah. And it does that every month, every 2 months at least. I've taken it apart so many times I can't count them.
Is this a new washer she has?
It's probably 5 years old now, but it was brand new when we got it.
That's inexcusable. Every month.
You can you go to the YouTube video, you type in Samsung Whirlpool, whatever it's called, Neptune, whatever that model is. It's how to fix clogged drain. This guy takes a Sawzall and cuts a hole right through the front of the whole fucking washing machine, so he doesn't have to do all that shit I just described again. He just you look at his, and he's got this huge jagged U-shaped hole in the front of his washing machine. He's fixed it.
It's playing Operation with the you get your hand in there without touching the sides.
He's made the hole so goddamn big. It's not a problem.
I found the video immediately. This video of Samsung washer won't drain, easy to do yourself fix, WA45H7000AW, 210,000 views. Do you think their SEO is monetized or is optimized? No, it's so many people having problems with this.
At least 10,000 of those views are mine because it took me a while to memorize how to do that shit.
Oh, that's funny.
It's 200,000 views how to fix a Samsung washer. This guy's biggest video is him doing that.
I can see why Kitty bought it, and the dishwasher too. Samsung appliances have the best curb appeal. They look wonderful in the showroom, and they often get prime. Like if you go to a Home Depot or something, prime locations. They're on the end cap, and the two of them are next to each other, and they're sitting on top of pedestals that maybe you put, I don't know, soap in or something. So that they're like neck high. And everything looks so wonderful. It looks like what you want in your house. But the owner experiences are notorious.
Yeah, they're beautiful.
My Samsung fridge is perfect. Works great. Apparently much easier to work a fridge than a...
I think 6 months old hasn't given me a problem in its entire lifetime.
That is true.
This thing's cold.
My washer dryer are Whirlpool, and my fridge I think is Samsung, or maybe that's even Whirlpool. I don't fucking know. But I do know that they are all brand fucking new, and that the people I bought the house from were not happy when I demanded that those be included in the price. So they are, my washer and dryer are real fucking nice. But yeah, my dishwasher, that was a big mistake. Big mistake not to get that replaced.
I bought a brand new washer and dryer last year, and I just got a basic one. I think it was like $1,300 for the pair, something like that, like $750, $800 each, like maybe $1,400, $1,500 with taxes and everything. I fucking love them. They work so well. I got no problem with. There was like $2,200 sets, and I was like, how much cleaner are those people's clothes that got they paid an extra $1,000 for their washer and dryer?
These old fuckers that I bought this house from apparently fell for that and got the real expensive washer dryer. I remember it was before I bought this house. We had that discussion where you were like, you could take a shit into a washer. It's going to be fine. And I was like, that's not true. And then looking at this one, I could take the foulest Duke in there on my clothes, and it's coming out squeaky clean. And so, that's true.
What a measure. Yeah. I can see you work in marketing, and I look forward to your advertising campaign.
Soupy dump all over my own clothes. To prove a point. Billy Mays here, taking a steamy dump on my own clothes. I'm going to show you how OxyClean gets it out of the... That was not OxyClean, by the way. That was cocaine. Yeah, dude, R.I.P. Billy Mays. He had the funny commercials. Yeah, poor guy. And he was so coked out of his mind during all of those. That's how he got so excited for cleaning products.
Yeah.
We got Kablam here. Look at this. Fucking a hooker I killed last night. Blood all over the carpet. Fucking spray it. Dabs right up. I don't think he killed a hooker, but maybe he did.